Welcome to Alternatify, the channel where we dive deep into the pivotal moments of history and ask the colossal question, what if? Today we tackle a monumental shift that could have reshaped everything we know. What if Germany unified 20 years earlier, in the mid-19th century, instead of 1871? This isn't just a minor tweak. It's a butterfly effect of epic proportions. We're exploring a world where potential winners and losers are redefined, and wars are either averted or become bloodier than ever imagined. Would the world wars have happened? What about the Cold War, or even the world we inhabit today? Buckle up, history buffs, for a thrilling ride through an alternate timeline. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about the past, and perhaps the present. The mid-19th century was a pressure cooker of political, economic and social change across Europe. The crumbling old order, with its remnants of the Holy Roman Empire, was giving way to new ideas. Rising nationalism, fueled by Romanticism, celebrated shared culture, language and a sense of common destiny among German-speaking peoples. Following the Napoleonic Wars, the Congress of Vienna in 1815 created the loose German Confederation. Austria, under Metternich, dominated this arrangement, actively stifling any genuine moves towards unity. Austria's vast multi-ethnic empire saw a unified Germany as an existential threat to its own power and stability. Yet, economic integration was already underway with the Zollverein, a customs union established in 1834. This eliminated tariffs between member states, fostering unprecedented economic cooperation and shared prosperity. It was a crucial, often overlooked step towards political integration, binding German states together through commerce. Then came the revolutions of 1848, a watershed moment across Europe. Uprisings against autocratic rule demanded greater freedoms and self-determination. In the German states, these revolutions exposed the profound weakness of the existing order and highlighted a growing fervent desire for a unified Germany, though ultimately they were unsuccessful. But what if they had been more successful? Imagine a scenario where the 1848 revolutions, or a series of smaller, more effective uprisings, truly ignited. Perhaps a more liberal Prussian king or a powerful coalition could have overcome Austrian resistance. This revolutionary fervor could have forged a genuine, lasting unification movement. In this alternate history, a unified German empire is proclaimed by the early 1850s. Envisioned as a constitutional monarchy, it would likely feature a strong parliament and an accountable emperor. This new force would be forged in the fires of revolution and economic necessity, a truly modern state. The impact on the European balance of power would be immediate and profound. Austria, weakened and isolated, would be forced to concede its long-held dominance. The Habsburg Empire, already a mosaic of ethnicities, might begin to unravel much earlier due to intensified internal pressures. Prussia, with its formidable military tradition, would undoubtedly become the dominant power within this new empire. Its military would be strengthened exponentially by the combined resources and manpower of all the German states. This early German empire would emerge as an immediate military powerhouse, challenging the established order decades ahead of schedule. Consider the Crimean War, which occurred between 1853 and 1856. In our timeline, Prussia remained neutral. In this alternate reality, a unified Germany might very well intervene, perhaps even siding with Russia. Such an intervention would dramatically alter the outcome of the war and fundamentally reshape the geopolitical landscape of Eastern Europe. Economically, the impact would be nothing short of revolutionary. A vast internal market would stimulate industrial growth and technological innovation on an unprecedented scale. The Ruhr Valley, already rich in resources, would become even more vital for coal and iron production, fueling an early industrial boom that would surpass our timeline's rapid growth. However, this early empire would not be without its internal challenges. Persistent divisions between the various German states would remain, requiring careful management. Tensions between the Protestant North and the Catholic South would also need to be navigated, alongside the complexities of managing a diverse population and intricate international relations. The late 19th century colonial race known as the Scramble for Africa, would intensify dramatically. With a unified Germany emerging decades earlier, it would be a major, potentially leading player in this brutal competition. Germany would arrive on the colonial scene with immense industrial and military might. The consequences of German colonialism would be far-reaching. This early empire could secure vast territories in Africa, potentially dominating large swathes of the continent. The profound impact on indigenous populations would be devastating, with different forms of exploitation and resistance emerging. Globally, this would have significant economic repercussions, as Germany would control vital resources and trade routes. The rivalry between Germany and Great Britain, which in our timeline saw them as sometimes allies and sometimes rivals, would become far more intense. This heightened competition could easily lead to an earlier major conflict between these two titans. The United States would also be forced to adjust to this powerful, unified Germany. The Monroe Doctrine, which asserted American hegemony in the Western Hemisphere, would be severely tested by a potential German presence or influence in Latin America. This would pose a direct challenge to American aspirations for regional dominance. German ambitions would extend beyond Africa, reaching into Asia and challenging existing colonial powers like Britain and France. This expansion could lead to proxy wars and conflicts across the Asian continent, fundamentally reshaping its political landscape. A naval arms race would inevitably ensue, with Germany investing heavily to challenge British maritime dominance, thereby increasing global tensions exponentially. This brings us to the million-dollar question: would an early German empire inevitably lead to a world war? The complexity of this scenario suggests a major conflict is highly probable, given the generated tensions and rivalries. The sheer power of this new Germany would disrupt the delicate European balance. Alliances would certainly be altered. The Triple Entente of Britain, France, and Russia might not form, or it would take a very different shape. Instead, Germany would likely forge new alliances, perhaps with Austria, Hungary, Italy, and the Ottoman Empire, creating entirely different opposing blocs across the continent. The spark and timing of any war would also be different. It might be ignited by a colonial dispute, a naval incident, or a conflict in the Balkans, rather than the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The war could occur much earlier or significantly later than in our timeline, depending on the specific flashpoint. The nature and outcome of such a war would be profoundly different. It could be even more devastating due to Germany's earlier industrial and military might. New technologies and tactics would be deployed on a larger scale, leading to a drastically altered outcome and a subsequent peace settlement that would be unrecognizable to us. However, there is an alternative, a glimmer of hope in this speculative history. An early German empire could, paradoxically, have prevented a world war. A strong, unified Germany might have acted as a deterrent to aggression, or perhaps negotiated a more stable balance of power in Europe. It could have exerted a stabilizing influence, rather than a destabilizing one. The key factor here would be the nature of German leadership. Would it be wise and pragmatic, or aggressive and expansionist? The consequences of such a war, or even its prevention, would profoundly reshape the 20th century. The map of Europe would be redrawn in ways we can only imagine. The rise of ideologies like communism and fascism would be shaped differently, emerging from entirely new historical contexts and grievances. The United States' role in the world would also be dramatically altered. It might not emerge as the global superpower we know, with its economic and military development taking a different trajectory. The Cold War, if it happened at all, would be a vastly different geopolitical struggle. The Soviet Union, facing different challenges and opportunities, would also evolve uniquely. Technological and cultural transformations would follow entirely new paths. The development of technology would be affected by new needs and priorities, leading to different innovations. The internet, space exploration, and other advancements might emerge at different times or in different forms. The cultural landscape, art, music, literature, film, would reflect this alternate world, creating a tapestry of human expression we cannot fathom. Ultimately, our present day would be utterly unrecognizable. Political alliances, economic systems, and cultural values would all be fundamentally different. Our reality, as we experience it, is woven from a specific set of historical threads. In this alternate timeline, those threads would have been spun in a completely different pattern. We've journeyed through a fascinating what-if scenario, exploring the profound impact of an early German empire. From reshaping the European balance of power and intensifying the scramble for Africa, to potentially altering the course of global conflicts, the ripple effects are immense. This thought experiment reminds us that history is a series of choices and consequences, and our world is the product of countless decisions. What are your thoughts on this alternate timeline? Do you believe an early German empire would have been a force for good or evil? What other scenarios do you envision? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into alternate history, please like this video, subscribe to Alternatify for more thought-provoking content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And as always, if you have an idea for a future what-if scenario, share it with us in the comments.